We're back in the learning of the Dvar Malchut, the speech given by Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991. And the Rebbe is talking about how all the fast days will be transformed into happy days. How can it possibly be? He says, well, that's the whole point of the creation, the Jewish people, and Moshiach, that this physical world will be good. So it's a big thing that we'll be able to eat. Eating is very, very important. And the fact that we don't eat is a sign of mourning. Mourning, destruction of the temple, we don't eat. What's the big thing about eating? When we eat, so we use the world properly, we use the energy from the world to the degree that it says that in the future, there's going to be this sort of a big mystical meal with called the pure ox or the wild ox, but shura bar, and some sort of a big fish, viatan, and there's going to be wine that's going to be stored up from the 6 days of creation. And it'll be a spiritual thing, but it'll be physical, because the main thing of this creation is the physical world, and this physical world will be good. And therefore, it's possible for all of the negative things to be transformed to be positive things, because the negative things are basically things which come to either de-emphasize the world or to destroy the world, or and the whole essence of what Judaism is to bless the world, that the world should be full of blessings. And that's the idea of making blessings, especially on food, using the world in order to serve God. That's why it says in the future that all the fast days that are celebrated, that we do because of the destruction of the temple, will be transformed to days of rejoicing and eating. Now, when a person goes to heaven, so there's no eating up in heaven. You don't eat up in heaven. And that's one of the reasons why heaven is not good. Because, I mean, of course, it's good. Heaven is good, but heaven is not the ideal place to be. Because in heaven, you don't use anything. You don't use the world. You're not functioning. You're just appreciating. You're just, how do you say, receiving. You're not giving anything. And that's something like on a fast day. On a fast day, we're sort of removed from the world. And what God wants is that we should be in the world, but according to the way God wants us to be in the world. And that's what it means that the fast will be transformed to be good. Something like what we just finished learning in the Kuti Torah, that the fast days are like turning from bad. And in the future, it's going to be doing good. And we'll be able to eat in the way that God wants. Yishla Kasher, we can attach this. We can attach, okay, so the Rebbe said that the Shabbat that he was speaking in 1991 was a taste of this. Why? Because that Shabbat was supposed to be a fast day. The Shabbat occurred on the 17th day of Tammuz, which is the 17th day of Tammuz is a fast day. But the law is in Judaism that if one of these fast days, except for Yom Kippur, if a fast day falls on Shabbat, then we don't fast. We fast the day afterwards. So if so, we see that here's an example how the fast day will be turned into a day of festivities. When the Yud Zayin Tammuz or Tisha B'Av, any of these, they fall on Shabbat, so it says you're supposed to eat and drink and be more happy than usual. Says we can attach this, we can relate this, that Shabbat gives us power to push away, to negate all of the fast days and transforming them to happy days with this week's Torah portion, which is Balak. Balak was a king that he hired Bilam to curse the Jews. One of the special, unique things of this week's Torah portion, Balak, and especially what's relevant to this Shabbat, is that it's explained, and it explains in the Torah the coming of the Mashiach. This week's Torah portion, the prophecies, the attempted curses the transformed curses of Bilam, that he really wanted to curse the Jews and he had the ability to do so. And the Jews, in a way, were deserving of it. That's not a nice thing to say, but the fact is they were deserving. But God stepped in and he transformed all of the worst curses to blessings. And the greatest blessing of all, which is the coming of the Mashiach. The clearest prophecies about Mashiach in the Torah, the written Torah, are in this week's Torah portion. Like Maimonides says. Now, Maimonides, Rambam, Rabbi Moses ben Maimon, is a pure, cut and dry law book. It's huge. It has all of the laws of Judaism, all the laws of the temple, every single law that there is, it has over in this book. Every law covers every aspect of Judaism. Maimonides. And Maimonides, that right at the end of the book, he talks about the whole goal of the whole business, and that's Mashiach. Mashiach is going to come. It's going to be a person, just like King David. King David was the first Messiah, and the second Messiah is going to be the Mashiach ben David. And what he's going to do, he's going to bring all the Jews back to Judaism. He's going to build the temple. He's going to gather all the Jews back to Israel. Right, the whole world will be filled with peace. The whole world will believe only in God. This fact that Mashiach, a person, is going to come and is going to do all these wonderful things and wake up all the Jews and etc., is prophesied by Bilam. HaMelech HaMashiach, it says, the Torah, this is the language of Maimonides. The Torah testifies on him. Where in Bilam it says, it talks about it, V'sham Naveh, and there it prophesizes in two Mashiachs. The first Mashiach is King David, that he will save the Jewish people from their enemies. And the second Mashiach is going to stand up from his offspring. He will save all the Jews finally now, in the end. Over there it says, Erenu v'lo ata. Bilam says, I see him, but not now. That's David. Ashurenu, I view him, and not nearby. That's the Melech HaMashiach. Darach Kochav Yaakov. These are all the words of Bilam. A shooting star will come from Jacob. That's David. The Kam Shevet, and there will be another type of a shooting star from Israel. From Israel, that's the Melech Mashiach. Machatz Pasei Moav, he will destroy the footsteps of Moab. That's David. Karkar Kol Bnei Shetz, and he will destroy all the people of Shet. This is the Melech HaMashiach. V'haya Adam Yerusha, we will inherit Edom, that's David, and V'haya Yerusha, that's the Melech HaMashiach, etc. So that's what Maimonides says. He takes the words of Bilam and he relates them to David and the Mashiach ben David. So Yesh Lomar, we can say that the Torah testifies that Mashiach is going to come in Parshas Bilam. That it is stressed that says that God did not want to listen to the curses of Bilam, and God transformed his curses into blessings. This hints at hafichas. This hints at transforming this terrible exile we're in into redemption. Hafichas, it's almost transforming the fasts into joy and to happiness and to holidays. God's going to do it. Al derech also in this week's Torah portion that we begin in Mincha Shabbos Parshas Pinchas. Pinchas, that's next week, but we read in Mincha, the last prayer of Shabbat, we read the Torah. We read a short portion of the Torah, and then in the next week's Torah portion we read is Pinchas. Pinchas is Elijah the prophet. Pinchas is Elijah the prophet. Pinchas had in him the soul of Elijah the prophet, even though Elijah the prophet came, several hundred years after Pinchas, but Pinchas is Elijah. And Elijah the prophet, he's the one that's going to announce the redemption. So in other words, all of this is coming about that there is going to be a redemption. There is going to be such a thing. Life is not going to continue the way it is now. There's the Jewish people, and the Jewish people suffer, and sometimes they get along, and sometimes they don't get along, and it'll just keep going on. That's all. Just, nations come, nations go. Just the Jews lasted a little bit longer than Attila the Hun or the Babylonians or something. But, that's just nature. Says the Rebbe, it's not so. the Jewish people are here in order to bring Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be a person from Beit David, and he's going to bring all the Jewish people back to and he's going to back to Judaism, and he's going to transform all of the curses into blessings. And next week it's also hinted at in Parshat Pinchas. Pinchas is Elijah the prophet. He had the soul of Elijah the prophet in him, and Elijah the prophet, is the one that's going to announce the redemption. Even more relevant to us, the counting of the Jewish. This is next week's Torah portion. The counting of the Jewish people. Seu'et Rosh Koladat Bnei Yisrael, from 20 years up and 20 years old and up. This is also in next week's Torah portion. This is relevant to the counting Minyan Asiri, to the 10th census of the Jewish people. The Jewish people were counted, like it says in the Midrash, 10 times the Jewish people were counted. And one of them, the last one, will be by Mashiach. Shene'emar, like it says, Od ta'avdun atzon ta'avrun. Tavrona, where does it say this? In 43, in Jeremiah. It says, O Tavorna, there will, all of the sheep, the Jewish people, will pass through and be counted. Mashiach will count every single Jew, or another opinion says it's God will count them. Then the Jewish people will be apportioned according to the tribes. It'll be revealed which tribe everyone is relevant, and the land of Israel will be divided up. It says in the future it'll be into 13 tribes, whatever. The Rav, the greatest, more populous of the tribes will receive a bigger portion, and it'll also be divided up in a Goral. This is next week's Torah portion, but it'll be the land of Israel will be divided according to the population, number of population, but also according to lots. It'll be divided. But since it's talking about only the way that the land will be divided up, and it doesn't talk about if it will be divided up into 12 tribes. Some say simply that's what it'll be, 12 tribes, right? Some say that this Kalel, this includes also the total dividing of the land of Israel, which will not be into 12 tribes. It'll be, first of all, we'll get all of Israel. Now we only have the land, 7 of the 10 lands God promised to Abraham. Then we'll get the other 3. And the land will be divided up not into 12, but it'll be divided into 13. The tribe of Levi will also have a portion. So Levi will have a portion, and already Joseph was divided into 2, Ephraim and Manasseh. So there'll be 13 tribes. Next week's Torah portion, it talks about how the land of Israel will be divided up. It begins with Elijah the prophet, and there'll be the Holy Temple, there'll be sacrifices, there'll be the holidays. Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, that's talked about the end of next week's Torah portion. And first of all, it talks about what's the constant offering that's offered every day in Shabbat, and Yan Shabbat, it was double. And in this is hinted at the transforming of all of the fasts into happiness and joy and holidays. Shamalatam, and that the quality will be greater mikol moadim, all of the holidays nowadays. The fast today will be transformed to holidays that are higher than all of the holidays and happier, because all the holidays nowadays, it says, they're going to be negated in the future. Because kashraga b'tir, like holding up a candle to the sun. The holidays will still be there, but the holiness that's going to be in the whole world, the godliness in the whole world will be so great that the holidays, which they themselves are a little taste of godliness, will be like holding a candle to the sun. The Gabi Malat Giluyim in the revelations of the Moshiach, all the holidays of today, which are holidays of happiness, Moadim L'Simcha, they'll be like 1/100th of the happiness in the days of the Mashiach. So there'll be the holidays, but the happiness of Mashiach will be so great, they'll be negated. But the days that are fast days that'll be transformed they will still be in existence. They'll be even higher and greater than all the holidays now. This also the holidays that will be in the future. So we can say that the fasts that are transformed, that today they're fast, but they will be transformed into the holidays, they'll be much higher than even the days of Purim. Purim, it says that all the holidays in the future will be negated, but Purim won't be. It says good Purim won't be. Purim is the highest of all the holidays in that aspect because it's a holiday of self-sacrifice. But Purim won't be negated, but nevertheless, it won't get to the level of happiness of the fast days that are transformed. The fast days of today, when they become transformed to holidays, those will be higher holidays than all the holidays, even higher than Purim. That Purim, it says that in the future, won't be negated in the future. Like it says, Yemei Purim lo yabru mitoch hayudim, it says the holiday of Purim will not be extinguished from the Jewish people, and the mentioning of them will be at the end of time. Purim. Because why? Because the novelty of the holidays is that they won't be negated. What does it mean? That even Purim, that even in the days, the revelation of godliness, which is going to be so great in the days of the Mashiach, that all the other holidays won't be surprise anymore. But nevertheless, and Purim will even be greater. It'll be a little bit of a surprise, but nevertheless, you won't recognize it so much. What will be recognized in the future? Which holidays? Those holidays that now are fast days and have been transformed. Certainly that the days which will be renewed in the days of the Mashiach, they will be much higher than the days of Purim. Tremendous joy. So what the Rebbe is trying to say over here is that we basically don't know what real happiness is. We don't know what real blessing is. We don't know. We have no idea what real meaning is, what reality is. In the future, the reality will be so beautiful and so great, it'll transform all the bad to good, just like God transformed all the bad curses of, specifically, those curses were transformed to be good. Because we have to remember, where do all these curses come from? God creates Bilam. God creates evil. God creates all these curses. One reason he creates these bad things is that we should ignore them. A higher reason is that they will become transformed to a type of good that's even higher than any other type of good that's known today. And we can add on also that this day, Shabbat, that falls on the 17th day of Tammuz, that's the way it was by the Rebbe. By us, it won't be. By us, 17th day of Tammuz is going to be on Sunday. But by the Rebbe, the 17th day of Tammuz fell on Shabbat, and therefore Shabbat pushed it away. And 17th day of Tammuz, that's what's called the beginning of the 3 painful weeks. The same thing as if Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbat, which that's the end of the 3 weeks. So if so, this Shabbat, that the fast day, it pushes away a fast day, should be a little bit different than all the other Shabbases of the year. Why? Because it's known that these 3 weeks, which are called Bein HaMatzorim, the days which are called the 3 painful weeks, Matzorim, the difficult weeks, it's like a desert. It's like a desert. It's like a time, a temporal in time. It corresponds to what a desert does in place. So a desert is a place where nobody lives. Same thing, these 3 weeks, it's like God took away the holy temple. We're reminded that the world has become like a desert, these 3 weeks. But God always precedes the solution to the problem. He precedes the medicine to the disease. What's the medicine before these 3 weeks? Ubechol Shabbat, every Shabbat, there's found Gimel Pamim, Beit Shabbat, found, one second, Vav Pamim Zion, 6 times 7, 7 days of the week. that there shines in these 2 weeks. And similarly, Machnim Amidbar and the Membeit Mesot, the 42 journeys in the desert of the nations. 3 weeks, just 1 second. So 6 times 7 is 42. Right? 6 times 7 is 42. So we have 3 weeks, and each one of these 3 weeks, each one of the 3 weeks, and every Shabbat is doubled. So if so, we have 3 times the 2 Shabbatot. So it comes out that there's 3 Shabbatot. It means that there's 6. And the 6 times 7 is 42. That's the 42, that corresponds to the 42 journeys that the Jewish people took from Egypt to Israel. Shabbatot, by means of these 3 weeks, is to Nasa fixes up these Bein Matzorim. Yes. I have to, I don't know why, but this has skipped my mind, why every Shabbat is 2. I'll have to think about this. Okay. Nevertheless, the Rebbe says every Shabbat is 2. So it comes out that there's 6 Shabbatot. Each Shabbat has 7 days. 6 times 7 is 42. That corresponds to 42 journeys in the desert. And in this, there's a difference between the Shabbatot in the middle of the 3 weeks and the Shabbatot in the beginning and the end of these 3 weeks. The majority of the years of these Shabbatot, there are only 3 weeks of Bein Matzorim. This stresses also the bad things of the Bein Matzorim, the destruction, etc. And this has to be fixed up. Which is not the case in the year when the 17th day of Tammuz, which is the beginning of the 3 weeks, if it falls on Shabbat. And also Tisha B'Av, which is the end, also falls on Shabbat. Now we can say that the main stress is on the good, which is there. Yud Zayin Tammuz, the 17th day of Tammuz, and that's the numerical value of good. The numerical value of good. And the Bein Matzorim, the 3 weeks which are between, this is a preparation for the wideness and the blessing which will come, the true wideness which will come afterwards, like the curses of Bilam transformed to blessings. Therefore, the beginning and the end is on Shabbat, that's the whole idea of redemption. So the 17th day of Tammuz falls on a Shabbat, so Tisha B'Av also falls on Shabbat. So that indicates that the bad can be transformed to be good, which good means an infinite wideness. So it's not called Bein Matzorim, it's not called the days which are narrow but big. Or in another way of saying it, in the Shabbatot, which are in the middle, in the majority of the years, is stressed the bad things which happen to Bein Matzorim. That's fixing up the exile and the destruction. But the Shabbatot, like now in the year the Rebbe was speaking, when Shabbat knocked away the fast day, the first Shabbat, and the last Shabbat also knocked away the fast day of Tisha B'Av, then in the beginning and the end of these 3 weeks is stressed mainly the good which is in the Bein Matzorim. Namely, that we shouldn't feel the exile at all. Okay, what's the Rebbe trying to say? The Rebbe is trying to tell us not to accept the situation in the world the way it is. Not to accept this. There's a tremendous treasure that's just waiting for us, and we have to expect it. and we have to do everything we can to bring it. But don't think that the way the world is the way it's going to remain. It's not going to remain. What's one of the proofs that we have these two terrible fast days, the 17th day of Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, and that they can be transformed. They can be transformed, that when it falls on Shabbat, then we eat and we feast on the fast days. So therefore, it's telling us that, in fact, all of reality will be the same way. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. This thing, for some reason, has slipped my mind, where we got the 6 weeks, and I just have to think about this for a second. It's obviously going to come to me, probably in the middle of Shemon Esrei or something. It'll come to me. Okay, now let us do the Yom Yom, and we'll have a story later.